I think this is a very, is a pertinent moment in our history right now. Any movements that we have seen or heard or we have studied, they start with, all kinds of voices that want to take on the issues of injustice, oppression, racial inequality. Otherwise, there won't be a movement if we all were living happily and everything was fine. As you know, our Peace Garden has 4 statues that honor 4 individuals. Mahatma Gandhi or Mohandas Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a civil rights leader, Cesar Chavez, and Jane Addams. Interestingly, all 3 individuals, King, Jane Addams, and Chavez, were deeply influenced by Gandhi. Those we honor in the Peace Garden are not perfect human beings. We as scholars, we fine-comb through their writings, we fine-comb through their lives, and we know that they're not perfect human beings. But we also know they represent their journey to overcome their own prejudices, their own shortcomings, and becoming allies and fighters for the greater cause, to fight against social injustice, fight against oppression, fight against. Otherwise, why these 4? Why not other people? So these are very carefully chosen, selected people. Role model means that you critically analyze them, you take the best and leave the one that you think they didn't do right. Let me learn from this and not do it. So all these 4 leaders, what do they represent? This is not a temple, right? This is a state college, state university. I won't even call it statues in a way. They are figures, monuments to inspire us, students, community. And I have seen numerous times young kids from elementary school coming to Peace Garden and standing next to Gandhi's statue, standing next to King's statue, and their teachers are teaching them. There are so many young people, all people from different walks of life are rising up and showing up. Otherwise, it cannot be, the movements cannot be built. With this Gandhi statue, the petition that we saw circulating, so I can only make one comment or a couple of comments about the allegations against race, that Gandhi was a racist, right? I mean, that's the main allegation, and especially with the current context. It really is irony to call Gandhi racist. Because if you know, he's an Indian, he's a brown man, right? And he is being discriminated by the British powers, colonial powers. So it's very interesting to see the dynamics, right? So we are not talking about somebody Euro-American person. We're talking about a guy who was discriminated in South Africa because he was colored. He doesn't know what to think of himself. He's a new lawyer. I want to take you to a story. 1893, goes to South Africa, invited by some business people from Gujarat to be their lawyer. And he is 23-year-old, but he's pushed out of the train, and he's shocked. How can you throw me out of the train? I'm colored. And then next day or then on, he starts to fight for Indians' rights. The word that petition uses the word kafir. And kafir is the word for, it's a derogatory term if you look at. But Vinay, who is a UCLA professor, historian, he points out in his recent article that, not defending what Gandhi is doing, the kafir was never meant to be derogatory term until the mid-20th century. Also, we see that in early years of in South Africa, he does think the Indians are superior than the South Africans. So how he creates this colonial mindset, he's trained in the UK, England, right? So he thinks that Europeans are better than Indians and Indians are better than South Africans. So this already has hierarchy has built in his thinking. He did say, I don't want to defend that, he did consider Indians better than South Africans as well in the practice of law and certain instances, but that was in his early 20s, right? When he stood against all kinds of racism, violence, structures of violence, he had to quit the law in order to become Gandhi, what he had become. He really denounces his practice. If you're really interested finding out what he did, read him. Find more things. If you are really interested in looking at his weaknesses, go find more things. I would recommend his autobiography. He lays bare everything what he did wrong and right, or his journey from how he corrects his mistakes. And we as human beings, as educators, as students can learn. The one thing we can learn, humility to admit our mistakes. And Gandhi is an example of that.